So today we're going to write polynomials given a 0. So if this is my 0 right here, if this is my 0, so if x equals 1, x equals 2, and x equals 5. So to write the function given the 0, all of these have to be set equal to 0. So I need to subtract the 1, subtract the 2, and subtract the 5. So if I'm going to write the f of x, I'm going to get x minus 1 times x minus 2 times x minus 5. And we'll come back and finish this problem in a minute. So we would do number 2 the same way. If I wrote my f of x, so I would write this the same way, and we'll come back and finish this one. So let's look at number 3. If I have x equals negative 2, x equals negative 4/3, and x equals 2. So my f of x is going to be x plus 2 and x minus 2. But if I set x equals negative 4/3, I have to clear the fraction, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. So these cancel, so I get 3x equals negative 4, and then I'm going to add 4. So this would be 3x plus 4. So this would be my function here. And so if you can do this if you remember how to do this, this is going to go next to the x and this will be the opposite sign. You won't have to write it out. But if you need to write it out every time, go ahead and do that. So this, I'm going to get x equals the square root of 2, x equals the negative square root of 2, and x equals 1. So my f of x is going to equal x minus the square root of 2, x plus the square root of 2, and x minus 1. So I have 4 this time. So when I write this, I get x minus 2 square roots of 3, x plus 2 square roots of 3, x minus 1, and x plus 1. And we're going to skip number 6. So now to find the final answer, you have to multiply all this together. So if I start with these two, x times x is x squared. Negative 1 times negative 2 gives me positive 2, and I get minus x minus 2 is minus 3x. And then we have to multiply again. So I'm going to take x times x squared is x cubed, x times a negative 3x is minus 3x squared, and x times 2 is 2x. And then negative 5 is minus 5x squared plus 15x, and then minus 10. And then we're going to combine like terms. And I'm out of room, so I'm going to write over here. I'm going to have x cubed. I have minus 3x minus 5x is minus 8x squared. When I combine these, I get plus 17x minus 10. So this is my function. So that's what you would do on all of these, is you would multiply this all together. So number 2 and number 3, you can multiply these together and it's just like number 1. I want to look at number 4. If I take x times x, I get x squared. If I take the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, we talked about this yesterday. That is 2. And what happens when I have minus square root of 2x plus square root of 2x? those cancel out. So I just get x squared minus 2, and then I'm going to multiply this times x minus 1. So when I do that, x squared times x is x cubed. X squared times a negative 1 is minus x squared. Minus 2 times x is minus 2x, and then plus 2. And there's nothing here to combine, so that is your function. So I'm going to multiply number 5 together with you. So x times x is going to give me x squared. My middle term is going to cancel out because I have a minus and a plus. And at the end, I have negative 2 square root of 3 times a positive 2 square root of 3. So when I multiply, I get negative 2 times 2 is 4, and square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3. So I have negative 4 times 3 gives me negative 12. And over here, x times x gives me x squared. My middle terms cancel out, and I get minus 1. So this is what I'm multiplying. So x squared times x squared is x to the 4th. Negative 12 times negative 1 is positive 12. And in the middle, I get minus 13x squared. And that is my f of x. So the last examples are if I'm given my zeros, but now I add some multiplicity. So if I have 3 and a multiplicity of 2, that means I have that twice. So when I write this, oops, that'll be minus. There we go. So when I multiply, I take x times x gives me x squared. Then minus 3 is minus 6x. And negative 3 times negative 3 is plus 9. And you have to multiply one more time. So x times x squared is x cubed. Minus 6x squared plus 9x minus 5x squared plus 30x and minus 45. So my final f of x, I want to combine like terms. So I get x cubed. I have the 6x squareds. So I have minus 11x squared plus 39x minus 45. So on number 8, if I write this, so how can I can't do anything with this, so I have to leave x in my answer. So here, I'm going to take x minus 1. Here, I'm going to have 2x minus 5. And here, I'm going to have 2x minus 5. And you have to multiply all of this together. I would multiply x times x and get x squared minus x. I would multiply these two together then, which will give me 4x squared. The middle term, minus 5 times 2 is negative 10. Negative 10 is minus 20x plus 25. And then multiply this times this. So I'm going to get 4x to the 4th minus 20x to the 3rd plus 25x squared minus 4x to the 3rd minus 20x squared plus 25x. And when you combine like terms, you get 4x to the 4th minus 24x to the 3rd plus 45x 45x squared and minus 25x.